So yeah, I think we are ready. Let me start the presentation, if you don't mind. Let's go. Where is it? Jean-Philippe. So here's the presentation. I'm still not sure in which language to speak right now to the audience when I'm not talking to you, but usually we do the main English, common English language.
We can speak with slow English.
So with slow English, yeah. So, Monsieur et Mademoiselle, this is Jean-Philippe, the founder of a company called Lucky Crush. It was formerly Lola Next Door. We met together in Paris in 2018, somewhere in October, I suppose. And our fund incubator was one of the investors to the company. And around 3.5 years later, we sold the company. We did a multiple exit, and Jean-Philippe became a millionaire. And I just remember walking down the streets of Paris when we arrived to meet with Jean-Philippe. And I remember this. I showed it to you before. Let me catch up for all of the Kazakh-speaking people. We don't have the sound, but hold on a second.
It's a great ad.
Yeah. So that's why we speak bonjour yopta, Jean-Philippe. Yeah. So then that's the first photo of us on the left. It's obviously, you know it. Who is it? On the right, it's Viktor Zakharchenko, my friend and partner at Funkubata. And the three above are the founders of Lola Next Door and later Lucky Crush. They were very poor guys from the street, and now they made it to the top. Yeah. And we sold the potential. Sorry?
I said we were just students.
And yeah, they were just students, and now they are. Je m'appelle Jean-Philippe, je millionnaire now. So that's one of the first photos that I made where Jordan, I think, he was showing the prototype.
Yeah, I remember.
Yes, and the quick. That's one of the theses, and there's a chat. By the way, this Telegram channel is attached to a Telegram chat where I see real-time feedback that people have. Let me read it later. But the translation of that phrase is jerking off every day is motherfucking good. So that was the investment thesis when we discussed whether to invest or not. But that was the general. Of course, it was more about you, but that was general thesis. Here's the screenshot. I hope this is at least not on the NDA because it was the 2018 notes. This is what you told me and you achieved before. So
yeah, the first prototype. Yeah.
It was the first prototype of the product, and as you see, and I want to emphasize to our early stage startup fellow viewers that that's the example of how to do things. You need to somehow attract new users, somehow to make them pay. That's all that really matters, not all of this fucking visionary ideas, the hockey stick bullshit, and so on. They
product features, just getting customers as soon as possible.
Yeah,
with the core feature, and that's it.
Guys made the prototype and launched it in March 2018. And they ran it with like just 4,000 euro in advertisement, and that's the turnover that was generated. They generated 52,000 euro in the turnover that showed that people want to pay, people have good conversion rate, people have good return customer rate, and there was a margin. So after payouts and advertisement cost, it was the 10,000 out of 52,000 euro. And that was immediately the signal that shit works. There's some math and so on. And what I liked is, number one, the realistic timelines, and number two, the slide I forgot, I couldn't find before this call. However, let me search through the to the history of chat with you, Jean-Philippe. Oh. I found it. Hold on a second. Let me insert it in the presentation in real time. I think I need to write an article about this case. Let me upload this. So I'm uploading right now. Let it complete the download. Hold on a sec. Share. There's the share button. So do you remember me asking a lot of questions about this? So an example for everyone. Guys were very realistic and they had 3 hypotheses on marketing. As you see, by the way, do you see my mouse? I think you don't see. On the left top, there's acquisition cost per client hypothesis. And the theory was it could be 10, it could be 50, or it could be 100. So a 10 times difference. So guys calculated the outcomes in all of the 3 scenarios. And all of the 3 scenarios were realistic. That showed their flexibility of mind and preparedness of the team for this 10x scale of the cost. That's the lesson that everyone should learn from. And I learned it from you, Jean-Philippe, and we learn from each other. And why?
That even without raising funds, we could make money, but by raising funds, we could earn money faster and more money. So it was to be both reassuring and showing the possibility of the thing to investors. And I think that's one of the most important things when you try to convince investors.
Yeah, exactly. But when I don't like the word convince the investor. I like the word, first of all, you convinced yourself that the shit might work.
Sure.
That was
for you, yeah.
Sure. You didn't have to convince me. I just saw the logic and I saw that you believe in it. That was what was the important thing. And as you see, yeah. By the way, everyone, you see Jean-Philippe is now not wearing a shirt because he now doesn't give a fuck.
The air conditioning is broken, and if I put a shirt, I will be sweating like hell.
Yeah, poor Jean-Philippe. And by the way, that's another Q&A. I forgot that slides. I prepared the list. Let me write it down. So Jean-Philippe, now as I introduced you to people, and we are, I think, recording this. So we wanted to learn a little bit about you and hear the story from your part. I prepared my questions to JP. So the first one, while I will be continuing the list, would you please tell a little bit about the background before Lola Next Door, before how we met? I remember you also worked as an accountant. So that's how you...
No, I never was an accountant.
You have this brilliant discipline and financial reporting.
Yeah, you thought I was an accountant when you received the first reports, but I thought that I never been an accountant. I just do a little MOOCs, little courses online to learn how to do very basic P&L, balance sheet, and cash flow statements. Not even balance sheet, just monthly P&L and cash flow statements. With, very big lines, the codes and so on that accountants put. And I just learned how to do that in like 2 or 3 weeks, not even. And that's how we were able to do that. But today, I would still find hard to read the balance sheet, the financial balance sheet made by an accountant with the terms of the accountants. I was just identifying a variable cost, fixed cost, and stuff like that. It was really like more a management dashboard rather than financial accounting. So we were comparing both with my accountant to see that we were aligned and that I wasn't making mistakes in my profit estimations. But it wasn't, official accounting.
Got it.
But no, my background, actually I was in a business school. And at the beginning, I had a pretty bad grade, and I was partying a lot, and I didn't realize that I had to do something one day, and so that's how I finished in the track. When the 4th year of my school, I ended in the entrepreneurship track, which is where you go when you don't know what you want to do, because nobody hires entrepreneurs or CEOs when you go out from school. It's just like you learn a bit of everything, but you're specialized in nothing. And the only way for me to make it, profitable, to make it valuable, to make it recognized by people, eventually to try to make it, recognized, it was to try to start a project and to bring it as far as possible, no matter where it would stop. Maybe try to get some users, try to raise funds, try something. And that's how I created LinguiLink, which was a language e-learning platform for schools and university. You can Google it if you want to find a bit about it.
The LinguiLink, right?
Yeah, LinguiLink, LINGWE, and link LINK. And it's really an e-learning platform for schools and universities. It was targeting a new problem, something that wasn't addressed yet by the solutions on the market, because it was based on the live practice with native speakers. This way, when you start to learn a language at school or university, you were able to practice it for real with native speakers, and you were rated on that. So it was part of your final grade at the end of the year. It was really a grade in your global grade by language teacher. So it was really a really different thing. And finally, we got many partnerships with many schools and universities in several countries. My school even bought part of the company, which allowed me to refund my study loan in 1 year. So that was great because I refunded my study loan before I finished the school. And that's how I was able to continue to be an entrepreneur, because otherwise I should have found a job and to refund the loan every month. So we did that. Unfortunately, 6 months later, the company went to bankruptcy because schools and university wanted 2, 3, 4 years of testing before they pay. So investors were not keen to put money in it. We ran out of cash, and we had like 1 month left, in the rental of the apartment with my 2 co-founders on this project to find a way to make money, or everything was stopping and we all had to find a job. So there is just my CTO, because it was a little project. I'm not sure we can call that a CTO as a developer. We stayed together. The designer of LinguiLink left because he didn't want to do in the direction where we wanted to go, because the direction in which we wanted to go was the big internet cash machine. And so that's how we went into gambling things, into adult entertainment things and things like that. Because there are markets where you can build new features, you can experiment very fast. It's not like when you have to convince, in B2B, you have to convince big organizations to use your product to get feedback maybe weeks after. When you iterate on a B2C, internet product, at the end of the afternoon, if it was shit or not. So because your traffic is not conveying the same, it's much more analytical, it's much more quantitative. So that's what we liked. So the gambling license was too expensive to be operated. Series like social betting, and really had good ideas to innovate in the gambling things. The goal was to, either in gambling or adult, the goal was to create solutions that are not only for the segments of the people who already use the solutions on the market, but to try to make these things a more mainstream and to enlarge the segments, to provide more authentic experiences that, a woman could afford, for instance, because, in gambling, for instance, most users are males. Try to just enlarge the segment. And the gambling license was too expensive. So that's how we said, okay, we will go in adult. We checked what was happening in the adult market. We realized that everything related to movies and videos was going down. There was no more revenue coming from it. All the revenues were growing, were getting down. But the industry was still growing. And why? It was due to live coming, actually. So we started to get interested about all the solutions on the market related to live coming, live chats, adult chats. And we realized that it was still something very segmented because it was not authentic. You had like virtual peep shows from, girls in studios. You had like suppliers and customers. It was like a marketplace. You were chatting with 4,000 people in a room, and then the cam girl watching a private. I mean, there is nothing. It's very far from the little kinky chat experience you can have with your lover or friend or your girlfriend. And that was the goal, was to go deeper into that. So that's why we wanted to create a new adult chat site, adult chat experience that was based on interactivity, privacy, and intimacy, and authenticity. So an adult chat app that would attract real girls. I mean, girls who could be, because we are talking about a market that is targeting straight males. So that's why it's something that is important to consider. The demand is really focused on straight males on the market. So the goal was...
Do you mind if I comment on that for our audience? What everyone should pay attention to is that Jean-Philippe and team never thought in terms of what can we do. They thought in terms what should we do and where is the market opportunity and the money and the potential for the commercially good product where the money flows. More than half, and I say it very politely, more than half of startups I see and that are still submitting me pitch decks, they do like things that I think that are commercially unviable. And I ask now everyone, why, man, you are very smart, talented, you can technically build anything. The question is, why do you chose to make this product? And the answer is usually, because I could. Not because there's money, because he can, I don't know, because that was the one, I don't know, first idea. So yes, let's learn together and do the products that we believe where the money is, and we research where does the money go to. Yeah, thank you. Continue, man.
Yeah. For example, the product that we did is that because, Lucky Crush was a random video chat site. It was like chat roulette, but with a business model. And we just realized that there were many random video chat sites, video chat sites where people are randomly paired up together. Omegle, chat roulette, chat random. There are several thousands, tens of millions of guys every month who are male guys, straight males, who are hitting next all day long to try matching with a straight female partner, but they don't exist on the sites because it doesn't fit, the screen doesn't fit with the demand and things of girls at all. I mean, it's completely savage and guys are really well educated by that. And yeah, so we started from where the market is, where the demand is. And so that's how we created a chat roulette-like site, but adding a business model on it to answer the need. So for instance, the only difference is that at the beginning, you were saying whether you are a male, a man or a woman, and whether you want to match with men or women or both. And the only difference is that it's free for female users, because we know that the friction, the problem on the sites is there are not enough female users. So first, free for female users. Second, we gamified the thing, so girls earn points while they are chatting. So every time you are matched with someone, which is almost all the time because you hit next, or if your partner hit next, you are matched with someone else. So you earn points all the time, and then girls could convert their points into cash and gifts. So that's how we managed to have 50% of girls on the site at any time. And it became the most exciting video chat experience on the web, which allowed us to make charge for the male side. So when you were a male user, you just had to, you just had like 30 seconds to 1 minute of free trial. Then you had to create an account to keep chatting. Then you had 30 seconds to 1 minute of free trial again as a new member. And then you had to buy credits. The funnel I've just described is very important, and you should use it for all products. So you don't want to make people register, buy credits, and sign anything at once. You really want to give them value, ask them a little thing, give them value again, give them a little thing, and etc. So, and finally, guys were paying credits like 300 minutes, 500 minutes to related time to enjoy the chat experience, so they could.
How much was that in money? The 200 minutes. How much in money? It's
very simple. We never made things difficult. it was like $1 per minute because
$1 per minute.
Yeah, because it's simply because it was a new adult chat experience. It was an adult chat experience because furthermore than additionally of being just a new one video chat site, which was fixing the balance between males and men and women. Additionally to that, we were not proceeding with any censor. So it was a site reserved for adults. It was not branded as an adult site, as a porn site, and it's very important. It's very important people feel comfortable with that. They are the ones who decide to make the chat adult or not. It was an adult site just because it was reserved for adult users, and we were not proceeding with any censor, but we had content principles. So why it was more comfortable
Я завис? Can anyone tell in chat, did Jean-Philippe freeze or is it me? Окей, минуточку. Jean-Philippe, are you here? You froze out.
Yeah, sure. You hear me?
Yeah. Yes, now we hear you. Now
it's
you're
better?
back again. Now it's better. Yeah.
Okay.
And the quality is better.
Tell me if it's lagging. If it's lagging, I will change my network. So just let me know.
Okay. Okay,
You
continue.
So
man.
I was telling that. Yeah. So I was telling that additionally to be a new random video chat fixing the gender balance thing, it was a chat site reserved for adults because it was not censored. But they were new principles that to me should be the principles that we see in the social networks and the apps, which is not banning nudity and so on. Because, for instance, even on Skype, you can't have dirty messages with your girlfriend technically. It's prohibited in the terms and conditions, which is totally weird because it's a private context. So we had rules, we had consent rules instead. So for instance, guys and girls were banned if they were appearing half naked or, doing things dirty when they matched with a new partner. So in opposite to Chatroulette and Omegle and so on, you couldn't be surprised by your dick or, or boobs or anything. Just like in real life, you had to make sure that the person wanted the same thing and that you were both aligned so that something dirty can happen. And this had made a huge difference. It was a very important understanding because it allowed us to access resources that normally adult chat sites can't have. Because we were not branded as adults, there was the very trendy consent rule, but it was still very attractive because people were doing adult things. So it was really the perfect gray zone that allowed us to access, bank accounts, payment processors that were not only for dirty adult businesses. When you have a real porn site, your life is really difficult. Whereas when you try to do something like that, where users decide to make it porn in private, but you are not a porn company or product, it makes your life 100 times easier. And this understanding was one of the most important of our adventure. So I just skipped the part. I just skipped the part about the Lola next door and so on. But Lucky Crush was the fourth pivot because we started from wanting to create a new adult chat experience based on privacy and intimacy. Attracting real girls. I mean, girls who could be my sister, my mother, my girlfriend, my friends. And to me, it would be a success the day where my friends, my female friends, will ask me, how can I register and so on. And it worked. And so we started with a sexting app. Was just a little MVP. It was just a little page on which you could buy tickets for 20 minutes, text and video and photo chats on Kik Messenger. Imagine that at the beginning, we wanted to create like a WhatsApp, but with a token credit system where some people can buy credits to chat and some people can earn credits and convert these credits into cash and gift. And it was like, the first plan was like, okay, 6 months to 1 year development and so on. And for the first time, I talked with an experienced product owner who told me, in the product you want to create, 95% already exist on the market. The chat apps, the video chat apps, the fact of being able to send photos, messages. Why will you spend 95% of your time and resources to build something that already exists? Just create the fucking little page where people will buy tickets and it will just launch a counter, a 20 minutes counter. And at the end of the 20 minutes, it sends a SMS to both phones of the guys who pays and the girls who provide the sexy chat. And that's it. And the MVP was just a page where you buy tickets and it tells you when it starts, it tells you when it stops. And during both notifications, the person who was selling sexy chats was just, chatting on Kik. And when both were receiving the SMS, the person who was selling chats was saying, oh, you see, we received the SMS. If you want to continue, just buy another ticket. So we focused our resources and time on the 5% features that were not on Kik Messenger or WhatsApp or Telegram. That was the paid part, actually. And that was the most important move that we did, because with the money we had, the experience we had, and so on, if we had to build a new WhatsApp and just add these little paid features, I think we would have run out of cash, or we would have had something very buggy, some.
So and yes, you were talking about iteration number 2, right? That was iteration number 2.
That's the first one. The iteration number 2 was, the number 2 was just the same, but with Snapchat, because we said, okay, it converts very badly. I had to pretend to be a girl on classified ad sites to bring guys and to prove Almas that there is a market, but we still don't know how we will acquire it and do the conversion. So we said, okay, maybe if we use an app which is more used in Europe, like Snapchat, it will work better. And also on Snapchat, you have the stories. So people who sell sexy chats can use stories as social proof. Like, okay, I'm really exist. This is what I ate for breakfast. This is what I do today. There is a social proof. Whereas on the first site, you just had pictures and you had to buy something to have the Kik username of the person and start chatting. So it was almost no converting. It was converting because we were literally chatting with the guys on Crisp, the little chatbot, who were coming on the site to convince them to buy, and it's totally not scalable. With Snapchat, it worked much more. That's when we met Almas, because we wanted to scale this up with, we wanted to raise funds to be able to scale up our media buying, our traffic acquisition. And it was indeed working much better because people knew Snapchat better, because there was the story that was a kind of social proof and also kind of teasing. That's when we understood that it was important to provide value before we ask people to pay.
Jean-Philippe, I think we lost you again. Now you are back. Sorry, you are back.
Okay. So yes, I was saying that the version with Snapchat was working best. That's when we discovered that providing customers with value before asking them to pay is super important. The more the market is competitive, the more you have to provide value before you ask to pay. The people who think that their solution is so great that they don't have to give a free trial, or they give a shitty free trial that is not valued for anyone, they just keep stuck because you have to find a way to deliver the most value you can before you ask people to pay. So it worked very much better with the Snapchat thing. Then we said, okay, now we raised funds and we want to be owner of our solutions. It's enough of dirty MVPs using external apps. And we finally did a web app, which was a copycat of WhatsApp, but with the payment and credit system, being able to buy credits, convert credits into cash and gifts, and so on. And it was a huge fail, but maybe the worst one, because it was nobody knew this web app, because when it's WhatsApp, Snapchat, and so on, you know what it is. You say maybe there are real people behind. When you arrive on Lola next door, it looks like a messaging app, but you don't even know what it is. You just see profile pictures. You say, okay, they must be fake. It was a total fail. Whereas it was the product who took us the most resources. And the problem here is that because we raised funds, we said, okay, we will put all the features instead of iterating as we were doing before because we didn't have the resources. we decided to build all the features we had in our vision. We decided to build the final version of our product, and it was the biggest mistake actually, because when you do several features at once without testing them one by one, you don't know where the problem comes from. So, is it this feature? Is this feature? This feature? Is it the global branding? That's why you always need to test one thing after another, because that's the only way to find which one is the problem in the equation. And here we didn't even know what didn't work. We were pretty sure that it was the fact that nobody knew what was this messaging app, which was even a site actually, not even an app, because you can't have adult app in the stores.
Yeah.
So we understood there that the most important was to provide value to people before they pay. So we took our ego a bit down compared with this last version, and we said, okay, we have to think things differently. We want people to arrive on a site where they click on one button, and when they click on a button, we want them to be matched with a sexy partner. We don't want them to choose. We don't want them to register. We don't want them to pay. And that's how, in parallel, we were analyzing the things like Omega, Chat Roulette, and these kinds of random video chat sites.
Jean-Philippe, can I sum it up if you allow me? Because I have 8 other questions.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So the thing is, the first 2 iterations. The first 2 iterations of the product were the key point to understand that there can be a marketplace and there's a supply and demand on the market, and that people can pay hundreds of dollars per session in order to do the job. Then they added on top another validated concept that if you provide some free credits in advance for something, but so that the experience can be already achieved. So that's also a key point to the conversion and the happiness and success and consecutive repetitive payments. Now, that was the key value point. Then there was a WhatsApp Messenger iteration, and it failed for many reasons. However, the number 4, the latest iteration, it was based upon the initial things I told about, but with the improvement on removing the choice, removing the hassle, just push the button. And the key idea about supply chain works, about free credit works, and they improve the interface. And afterwards, that growth. And I will have a question about the growth later. But first, our audience wants to learn quickly about how many founders you had and how did you meet historically, because that's the very painful topic early on.
Yeah. I always start from the principle that I had to partner with people based on the needs, on the rational needs, rather than the affinities, the familiarities, I saw many entrepreneurs around me who just partnered with friends or family, and they started like, okay, we are 2 business developers, we already have only 50% each, and now we have to find all the other skills. And to me, it doesn't work. And also, it's important to not have, feeling things, emotional things with the people you work with at the beginning, at least. So I found Jordan, the first developer, for the first project that I had at school on a Facebook group that was made for students from an engineering school, and that's where they were finding job classified ads basically. So I went there and I said, okay. I have an ID and I want to find a developer, and I offer 50% and so on. I started to be insulted by everybody because you can't come and say, okay, I have an ID, and it's so valued that you can have a 50%. Normally, you have to at least have proved something, like you sold something, just like investors. You have to prove that you sold something, even if it's just a newsletter or doesn't matter. But you can say, okay, I have an idea, and you have 50% of it. It's super badly perceived by most of people, investors, developers, any partners. So on Facebook group for the first one, the designer for the school project, also in a designer group on Facebook. And but this time we had already sold things, so I already provided a business model like, okay, I sold that. This is the profit. This is what we can do. Do you want 30% of the company? So that's how you should always approach people. If you can offer a formula, just don't approach people. So then that was for the first company. And for the adult company, so my first co-founder was the developer of the first one. Then we found a designer again, because it's important to have, when you have a digital product, you just need one developer, one designer, and someone to sell it. Someone who knows how to do B2B, if it's a solution, if it's an MVP that you will sell to companies and so on, and someone who knows how to do traffic acquisition and SEO if it's B2C digital products. So that's why I also find this second designer for the adult company on a Facebook group. And then we were in an incubator, in a famous incubator. There was a trend for sex tech and so on 3 or 4 years ago, before the Me Too things and so on. And then we partnered with a fourth person. The designer left at this moment, and we partnered with a fourth person who was one of my business angels on the first round. So this guy had like, he's the kind of guy who made millions in... What? Yeah, Fabrice. He's this kind of guy who... Yeah. He's this kind of guy who made millions in drop shipping and affiliations. And that's the guy who knew how to acquire huge quantities of traffic from day one and how to make it profitable. By the way, if tomorrow you have an idea for a digital product in B2C and that you need traffic acquisition, always partner with someone who were a former drop shipper. Yeah. Always partner with either Fabrice or a drop shipper or a former affiliate guy, you know. But don't do it with someone who is just doing blogging and 2 or 3 little things that are not really quantitative and effective. Someone with experience is really the key. Someone with experience in the traffic acquisition, but someone who really lived from it and not with pennies, you know. So it's really, really important. And that's pretty it. And from that moment on, did you pay co-founder's salary before the investment? No, always until Fabrice, always shares. And then, thanks to the effective the Fabrice traffic acquisition, we were able to give salaries and so on. And so we became a real company. And from that moment, there is Jordan, the developer, who were lacking of experience and skills to scale up the company. We were receiving tens of attacks every week. We had scale-up issues. I mean, HTML page was not enough we needed a huge infrastructure at the end because we had like 3 million. We ended with 3 million users per month. And that's how we started to recruit a new CTO. But we provided a salary, we provided stock options. We use, how you call that, a headhunter. I don't know, the companies who find people for you, skilled people for you. We outsource the recruitment. The recruiters. Yeah, recruiters. So we use a recruiter for the new CTO. The new CTO said, okay, now I need a second developer with me, a senior one and so on. So we also used a recruiter. So you can see how we switched from me, myself, and I on Facebook groups to try to convince people first with the bad way and then with a better way, because I had sold little things and proved the business model, a little profitability formula. Even if it's theoretical, I had done something, to the final process of using recruiters and not spending too much time in recruitment and outsource it, because recruiters know how to evaluate people better than we were able to do, and so on. So you do much less mistakes when you can afford these services than when you do it by yourself. Yeah, you do. I also sometimes do mistakes here, the spatial chat. So it's unavoidable thing in the process. How did we find each other? You can share shortly your story on your side. I will tell mine. Yeah. And did we close deal faster? Was the process with us, slow or fast? Was I personally pain in the ass as an investor in your company and so on? On my side,
I was in the VC chat in Telegram, and someone told short things about, hey, I know a founder. I cannot invest in him because he's from the other industry. However, he has some traction and he's a funny guy. And randomly, I was drinking coffee and having my lunch, and the chat is going up very fast. But at that day, I noticed in that particular time post about it. I followed up, and he connected me with you, the Victor. Do you remember Victor Osika? Was the name of the guy? By the way, Victor, hello, how are you? Thank you for bringing me Jean-Philippe. Yeah, what's on your end? I remember you doing email newslettering spamming to all of the investors in some database.
Yeah. Actually, that's a process that...
And spam works on the internet still.
Yeah, it's something that would be harder and harder to do now due to the receiving rules, the email receiving rules of the different internet providers and email service providers, because now they are filtering spams too much. Cold emailing is almost impossible now without double opt-in, all these kind of things. But yes, what we did, actually, first we tried to contact, traditional investors. So you contact 1, 5, 10, 20, and you realize that most of them, they don't want to invest in adult because it's, they are funded by insurance companies, by banks and so on. Actually, they are all partnering with people who also partner with people who also partner with people. And there is always someone in the network who doesn't want to work with adults or gambling and so on. So you can't use traditional investors. But we knew that, we said, okay, over 7 billion people on Earth, there should be someone with money who would like to make the profits that we are making, because we were doing the profitability formula was amazing, and we just needed funds to go faster. And so we said, okay, the only thing we have to do is to contact maybe 10,000 investors to find one who will be interested. But how you find 10,000 investors? So what we did is that we found a directory of investors online. We scrapped it. By the way, I realized that one of my best friends was working in this company like 3 months later, and I was telling him, I found stupid guys on internet. I was able to scrap their site. And he told me, that's where I work, and I'm the financial director of this company. And we ended the day together with their team, and I was explaining how I did so that they can secure the system. They were in Amsterdam, but I won't name them because it's not fair.
Yeah, not fair.
But we scrapped the full directory in a few minutes. So we had all the LinkedIn links of tens of thousands of investors. Then we use a system like Rocket Reach to transform the LinkedIn URLs in emails. So we use a system that will find, I don't know how it works, but they find the personal email, the corporate email, the phone numbers of people based on the LinkedIn URLs. So our files became a list of emails of tens of thousands of emails. And then what we did is that we set up a campaign, an email campaign to these emails. What is really important when you contact investors from scratch, you need to have a subject which is funny, which is entertaining, because it can be vague it has to be funny. So I remember the subject was, "Are you a naughty investor?" And when you receive that, you open the email, and that's why almost 50% of the people were opening the email.
Are you not our investor? Are you not our? What was the subject? Come again?
No. Are you a naughty investor?
You're not an investor. Got it.
Yeah. So you are not an investor, I must finally, because you answered.
Yeah, we are. Yes.
That's why. So we had a great. We tested several things because it's important that you test things. You shouldn't think that you have a good subject ID. We tried by batches, on little batches. We tried like 5, 6, 7, from the most traditional subjects to the most daring ones, and the most daring one worked. We received some insults, many insults, by the way, because we were offering to invest in a sex chat app to investors who were sometimes in very traditional fields. So they were very angry of receiving our emails. But we also receive encouragements and people who say, oh, that's so funny, but I'm in a VC where, I don't have the right to invest in adults, but good luck, guys, it's great, and so on. And finally, over the tens, thousands of emails we shooted automatically, we had like between 7 and 10 people coming back and say, okay, I want to invest. And the advantage of this technique, rather than when you go and see an investor every morning for a breakfast or a conference and so on, by doing so many people at once, you create an immediate competition. Immediately in 1 week, we had 7 people from all over the world. There was a movie producer in Hollywood. There were a Chinese trader. There was a person in Holland. I don't remember what they were doing. There was the friend of Almas, who introduced us to Almas instead of investing himself. But the fact is that there was an immediate competition, and that's very important because as an entrepreneur, it's it can be frustrating. Because the bargaining power can be on the side of the investor if you are in a market where there is no demand for investments like adults. But here we managed to have competition, so we were able to really face demand and offer and to have a good deal.
Why did you choose us?
How we did. I was telling that it's important to have a subject attractive, very short email, 5 lines, 5 sentences maximum, and something really like we do that. It earns that. We could go there if you invested. Would you want to be in? Literally, no longer and no other sentences than what I've just said. And over all our tests, that's the one that worked the best. Why we chose you? We chose you because they were first a big personal fit. Because you were able to do fast, because you remember that we had a time matter. We really wanted to go fast because we invested the last savings into the traffic acquisition. And once you start traffic acquisition, you only want to scale up. You don't want to scale down because otherwise, it's creating trouble in your metrics and so on. So we wanted to go fast. So Almas and Funcubator were able to offer a pretty exotic process. We use a kind of stock option process so that they can release the cash in the week. So everything was so smooth that we only had to care about business. And that's why we definitely, I think that after our first meeting, Almas, we knew that we were about to work together. Because when he answered my email, he told me, okay, in 2 weeks, we are in a hotel in Paris. You come, we spend the day together, and we see what we do at the end of the day.
Did anyone else go to Paris? Did anyone else go to Paris to visit you?
No, nobody. And Almas was the one who was rushing things. And we needed an investor rushing things at this time because it was a good signal. We knew that there wouldn't be any friction. Almas was able you were able to pass on certain things. You remember, for instance, you asked for accounting. We didn't have any accounting yet. You told us, okay, just give the bank statements. And when I'm telling this story again today, that we raised funds just by providing what we had, because you were caring about going fast. You were such flexible that was highly appreciable, and that's part of the success of the project. And that's something that we wouldn't have found with other investors. So you were really able to adapt to our resources, to our skills, because we didn't know how to do accounting. We didn't have money to produce accounting. It was too low scale to do accounting. It was not of interest. So it's because you were really adaptive.
I know what it feels like because we had no accounting 2 years ago at Spatial Chat 2. And also half of the time to make the deal was consumed more by not the willingness. The willingness to invest was already there. And I also knew that we most probably will work together. It was just the French language, the new types of documents, the new jurisdiction for us. I personally downloaded your documents, the BSAF, for example, and I went to kitchen with my wife at home because she speaks French, and I asked her, Camelia, would you please translate this for me? I don't understand shit, and I don't have any other person in the world I know who can translate a French document for me. So even my family was involved into making the deal happen, but And the friction. I always used this DeepL translator and my wife in order to understand what's in the doc. What was the really, and you still remember this, is our banks and or auditors. They wanted like English translation from French documents. That's the really was the pain in the ass. But thank you for cooperating. We did this, man. We did. I even purchased the DeepL subscription. Yeah. About selling the company. I remember we wanted to start thinking about selling in January 2020 for sure, maybe even earlier, at least to research it. What's on your end? Why did you decide to sell, and how long did it take in order to fulfill this process?
Decided to sell the company because the current timing is not good for adult products. Because there is a rise of conservative politics and a rise of it's often like that when you have a kind of financial and social and political crisis. There is a rise of the conservatism, and in general, the exotic markets are a bit prohibited. And in the history, it always worked like that. So while sex tech was kind of in the 2012, 2015, it was kind of rising. Then it was decreasing, and some incubators closed the project of opening sex tech incubators and segments and so on. So it was more and more difficult because Visa, you just have to Google it, and you will find how Pornhub was in trouble, how Xhamster was in trouble, Visa, Mastercard, threatening every day to close the site and imposing new rules that are totally unmanageable. Google Ads, which is transforming the ad policies more and more until the moment where adult entertainment ads will be prohibited, whereas it's the most profitable acquisition way for that kind of things. You spend your time getting your bank account closed and you open a new one. I mean, that's because it's prohibited, but because partners don't want to work with adults. Because, you could be mafia, you could be connected to mafia, you could be to... There is a very bad image, and there is always someone in the network who doesn't work to work with adults. And it's enough to make the whole network not want it to work in adults. We had only people who said, I'm sorry, we have to close your account or we have to terminate our relationship, but we love you and we love your product, but we have someone in our network who doesn't want it. If you ask this person will say, oh no, I don't have any problem with adults. I just know people who may have problems. So everybody just know people who may have problems. Banks, they have partnering, credit card companies and so on, who may cause trouble. It's never them, it's always a partner. So there was that. So we were pretty sure that it could collapse at any time. So that's why we thought that someone who already had many sites, a big industry player who has enough cash to maybe stay 7-8 years doing shitty business, but being able to support, to bear with a difficult period, without that, these kind of players could be more suitable to keep operating Lucky Crush. Also because I personally wanted to celebrate my 30 years old without being involved in adult industry anymore, because it was a kind of jokes at the beginning. I mean, we had this idea when we had the hangover, we were in the McDonald's and we said, okay, we will do adult or gambling. So it was a joke when we were 23 or 24. So, I mean, it was just a joke. So
how old are you now? Remind me.
I've just turned 28.
Wow, 28. Good. Forbes 30 under 30.
What? Yeah.
Forbes 30 under 30.
The bet was...
How did you find the exit? How did you find the company to purchase you? That's also an interesting topic for the current or aspiring entrepreneurs who are on the market right now. What was your example? Of course, I know the answer, but people need to hear it from you.
Sure. Actually, we just used. You remember when I explained you how I raised funds? In the list, there are some people we connected with, and we keep talking for 2-3 years. They were interested in our adventure, and they were kind of not good friends because we never met anyone in the reality except Almas once. We never met anyone in reality. Everything was happening on internet. And among them, there was a big porn and dating German industry player, and someone who always was very supportive and who considered investing when Almas finally took the deal. And you know that he regretted it. He told me several times I should have been more aggressive or more, proactive and so on. I was like, okay, but that's too late. And that's finally the guy who purchased the company. So we just contacted a few of the people we were getting along with, and we found this person. We worked with an investment. No, how is the name? An M&A company.
M&A
this kind
company.
of because they structure things. We had like 3 to 4 people who were interested in getting the business, so they were able to create the steps necessary to increase the price, the selling price at maximum until there is only one buyer, which is the normal M&A, the most effective M&A process you may have. If it was only us, I think we would have sold for less expensive because we didn't have the keys to increase the price, but not in a scammy way. I mean, to increase the price because it's the value it has. I mean,
Can you disclose the acquisition price or still under NDA?
No, it's not under NDA. The acquisition price. It was a little bit less than 10 million euros.
Cool. That's a good result.
It's a good result for adults because we sold.
If it was a non-adult company, but SaaS, it would be 50 million.
Yeah. So you have to imagine that we sold for 3.7 times the EBITDA, which is good for adult because adult you sell between 2.5 and 3.5 times the EBITDA.
Yeah.
So they bought for 3.7, which is much above what we could expect. But you have to imagine that we were making more than 1 million euros in sales per month, and that we had like a 20% net profit. So if it was an adult, if there wasn't the risk of losing everything from one day to another, because there were like 3 or 4 events during the 2 last years where we really said, okay, we will never stand up after that. And finally it worked, but it was sure that one day we would take something in the face that we couldn't face, that we wouldn't get up again. So it was kind of frustrating because imagine 20% net profit over 1 million euros per month.
I imagine.
And we were only 3 employees.
By the way, not 50, just 3.
Just 3 employees. I mean, if it was an adult, we could have ended because we were also reserving a lot of cash to face these kind of issues. If it wasn't risky as adult, we would have shared the cash between founders and we would have crazy salaries every month and so on.
Yeah.
But we weren't even doing it because we at the end we had like 1 or 2 million in cash just not moving.
Yes, it was.
Just because you have to be able, let's say if you lose the payment processor during 1 week, the time to have a new one, you have
reserve cash
to make
necessary.
You have to make the site free for all because you don't want to lose your customers because they are the most important thing in your business. So we always had cash to be able to face an interruption of service, actually, which is the main risk when doing adult or gambling or things like that.
Jean-Philippe,
so yeah.
Tu es gagné, mon mec. What I say now, you are a successful man. What did you share with us? What exactly did you feel the moment you received a 7-figure SMS into your iPhone? What did you feel? Did you scream, jump, I don't know, whatever, kissed all girls in Paris, or whoever you met on the street? I don't know. What did you feel?
Yeah, it's like a little dream for a few days or a few weeks because the thing that matters the most to me is the chillness of mind. I mean, just, the serenity, because you know that you will be able to invest that and that now you will work because you want to make more cash or because you want to work for an association, for charity, or because you want to work because you love the subject and working is no longer an obligation. And if you want to, what I'm doing right now, if you want to go on an island and spend your time surfing or things like that, you have your investment who are invested in investment banks, the kind of banks who work for footballers, and things like that, where you have a good return rate that allows you to have a salary for life. So that's really the fact of no longer being able to work or choosing why you work, which is the first thing that puts you in a whole new world, really in a whole new world. You discover yourself again because you have time for that. Cool. I also had 2 weeks where I was totally depressed because I had the feeling that I didn't sell for enough money. My M&A company told me that it's totally normal. They told me even when people sell company for 40 billions, they have a time after that where they say, okay, but if we sold for 40 billions, maybe we could have sold for 50. And they are feeling bad also again. So I've been reassured by investors and M&A companies so that it's okay. That's the best we could do in ideal. So just feel okay with that. And that was true. So now I'm super
That's a very interesting insight. I never heard about this.
Yeah. So that was the feeling. And then the third feeling, which came later, was to get bored because actually the financial freedom is cool at the beginning because it's just relieving from many things. But in the end, when you wonder what you will do in the morning, it's quite stressful because you can do everything and you spend your time comparing all the options. But as you don't really need to select one through necessity, you just hesitating, comparing. So there is a phase where I didn't know what to do, and it was quite stressful. And that's it. And finally, now it's pretty cool because things are structuring themselves. So I know what I want to do to make my days busy. I know in which kind of activity I want to invest my time. I know which kind of business I want to create right now. I took time to meet myself again because I started doing entrepreneurship at school first because the entrepreneur track in my school was shitty, but also because it was a way to hide personal things, actually, to make my mind busy instead of being busy with things that were annoying me at this moment. So you are matching with the things again because you discover that even millions and the company and so on didn't delete all that, so it's still here. So I had the feeling to deal with. I had the feeling to deal with things that I had left a few years ago. So, and they didn't disappear at all. So I'm now treating personal issues with an adult mindset when it was hard to deal with them with a teenager mindset. So it's pretty cool to find yourself again like that.
Can you share with us what the industry will be for your new project? Will that be SaaS or something else?
Oh, actually, first, I thought about many projects. The first thing is that, it's like, imagine that you do a painting for the first time and someone buys it for millions. And then this person says, okay, can you do another painting? And you are like, wow, how to do a new painting, which is not the painting I have already sold. And everything you create ends being a kind of copycat of what you did. It's super hard to really start from nothing again.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, I was like on agile things, whereas I had left agile because there was a risk of losing everything from one day to another. But I said, okay, now I have secured all my time invested in Lucky Crush. Let's do another agile business and try to secure it again after 2 or 3 years. Maybe it's good to do like that. But finally, I realized that no, I really didn't want to do that again. Just for the richness of the mind, I wanted to do something else, not to have done that for years or for all my whole life. So I thought I knew that I only wanted to do news type businesses, businesses where the product is found online, consumed online.
I wrote article about that. I wrote article about news business that you told me about. My viewers know about this.
So only news businesses. And finally, when I was trying to look for news business ideas, I decided to start with the resources I had. And the fact is that when you have this money, which is invested through an investment bank with the right advisors and so on, the bank is willing to lend you an unlimited quantity of cash if you show immediate profitability. So what I do now is that my bank is lending me in unlimited money to buy apartments, flats, whole buildings, anything. And the loan every month is just refunded by the rentals of the shops who rent the shop or the people who rent the flat. But 100% leverage effect. So the bank lends money, and every month is just refunded with what people who rent the place give. And I don't put a single penny in that. And the goal is I do first operation. If it's profitable, the bank immediately gives me another amount, and they are able to do that in an unlimited number of times. They take in guarantees all my assets, so it's a bit risky, but they also take in guarantees all the apartments and buildings that we are buying. So at least they will take these things before my own assets. So there is a bit of security. So as I have this resource, I said, okay, maybe you need to do only one company, one product-based company, and then you just use your money as a guarantee to do this leverage effect with a bank that trusts you and trust your little business models, your little real estate business models, one after another. So I think it's better to focus on the resources you have today rather than trying to find ideas that are far from where you are, from the resources you are, from who you are, from the people you are surrounded by. So I think you should just say, okay, who are my friends, who is my family, which kind of influence we have in which industry, and use that. Because too many people, as you said at the beginning, wants to build dreams instead of a reality. And just start from what you have. And I said, okay, so it's less exciting than doing a digital product, but first let's do that. And when I will have done, I don't know, multiple 4, multiple 5 over what I earned, maybe I will try other digital things, or when I will be enough of traveling or things like that.
Jean-Philippe, that's amazing insight. I suggest going to the Q&A part, and I was thinking about how to properly do it. For example, let me show you, there are a few questions that initially were asked by people, these ones. However, how about I send them to you in text in Telegram, and you will take your time later to answer them, this text part. So I release an article here with your Q&A. And now we can spend this time to invite some viewers to our stage and ask them the question in person. Does that sound good, everyone? Good? Good. Hold on a second. How to turn it off? Now, everyone, you can ask to speak on stage, and I can invite you on stage. Пацаны, девчонки, на сцену можно лезть, поднять raise hand, я не знаю, как кнопка называется, и задать свой вопрос. Stop sharing делаю. Hold on a second, let us wait for the first people. Who wants to ask a question? From all the
I
people?
hope it was easy to understand everything because I'm speaking really fast, so I know I have to work on that a bit.
No, it's not about that. It's all about saving time. It's all about saving time. But if you want, hold on a second. Does anyone raise a hand? No one is raising a hand. I don't know. Hold on. Let us go to the questions then. No. Andrew wants to speak. Hold on. Andrew, go on stage. Allowed to speak. Come on, man. Go on stage. Andrei.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to press the button. Yeah, hi everyone. Congrats.
Turn on video.
Turn on the video? Wow.
Turn on the video.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm a bit bold. That's also sort of
you
a
changed.
Yeah, a bit, but not inside, as you know. So, I would like to ask you just one simple question. How do you feel in general after all? So after all of these years, after struggles, like battles with the investors possibly, or with the customers, with the acquirer, how do you feel? Like what changed in you?
A feeling of being accomplished every morning, because I started entrepreneurship because I was literally lost in my life and I was only partying and so on. And I didn't have a good image of myself in terms of being able to do something bigger than me. And when you just did the whole cycle, it was an obsession. I wanted to create something and end by selling it, just to know what is a startup life. And yeah, I just feel that every morning I feel like, I did it, and I'm just proud of myself, and much more than before this adventure. So yes, I feel chill and accomplished. So I feel a certain serenity with myself. So that's really but it's because there was a little fight with myself also in this adventure. So yes, I would say that it's what is animating me. I think it's the first thought when I wake up in the morning. So at the moment.
Solid. That's gross. That's solid. Well, I can feel this inspiration, so that's why I had such question. Yeah, we all need some inspiration here. Okay.
Thank you for the question, man. Yeah. Well, let's proceed to the next one. Андрюха, давай, хорошего дня. We know each other, by the way.
Yeah.
Jean-Philippe. No. Everyone asks about releasing this on YouTube, and are you okay? Right? Remind me that we release this call on YouTube, Jean-Philippe.
Oh yeah, sure, with pleasure.
Good. Okay, let me show you the question then, because nobody is raising hand right now. There were a lot of raised hands before, but so here you can choose anything to answer. But what was your first 10 employee hiring list? And I'm smiling when I'm reading this because I know that it was less than 10.
Yes. No, actually,
probably you answered. The real question is, who are the other guys, except for you mentioned?
No, actually, we have been 10, and I think it's something that we should share. We have been 10 because we said, okay, things are, what we liked was to automate things. Always, okay, we do some things, it takes time. We find a way to automate it or delegate it all the time. And then it doesn't take time anymore. Let's address another thing that takes time. And at a moment, we said, okay, we need to go faster on the features and optimization and scaling up of the technical infrastructure. And we said, okay, let's build a team from scratch. But it looks so easy to use, outsourcing companies. So we built a team in 1 week through a Ukrainian outsourcing company. And it was 100% loss because, outsourcing is good when you have a good management, when you have the 3/4 of your team who is in-house, and you just use outsourcing as a residual resource to your things. When even your product owner, the developers, when you want all these people coming from one place, from the outsourcing company, you have a full alignment of the interest. And they are just charging huge amounts of money for almost zero deliverability because our CTO wasn't able to manage and to check the work of these people. So that was a huge.
I think we again
who had
lost you. Now you're reconnected. Yeah.
Sorry?
You are back now. We lost you again.
Okay. And I said that it was much more efficient when we hired a CTO who had experience in management, and he decided he really wanted to build. We didn't have the time because we sell, but he wanted to first build a solid in-house team. It's better to have 2 or 3 developers in-house committed with the right incentives on the salary to work at night when they need, or to feel as co-founders, rather than say, okay, I will have 10 people at once through an outsourcing company and it will be cheap. And you realize that these 10 people were much less productive than just our developer alone. So that's why it was a huge mistake, and never think that you can create your tech team from an outsourcing company. Or maybe there are some examples of people who managed to do it, but all the people told us that it was a bad idea, and we still wanted to do it, and we confirmed it was a bad idea.
Got it. Did you define and build some kind of corporate culture? It's hard to imagine it for me when you are 10 or less. However, at least if there was some, how could you describe the culture?
Literally, it was the goal was to allow, because we have been up to 5 in-house, and the goal was to allow anyone to live a healthy and dreamed life. so that anybody, there is the CMO, he was at home with his children in his big house and he was enjoying. I moved out from Paris and I went in a city where you have hippies and you are surfing every day. So we were just all kind of living the life we wanted with huge incomes and compensations. And so, yes, the culture was enjoying your daily life. So I never felt like if I worked, I never felt I worked actually. I never felt I sacrificed anything in my personal life and so on. The culture was clearly, there was a money culture. I mean, we really were very, very hungry. Yes, it was just live where you want and do what you want to do. Work when you want to do. So if you want to work 10 hours at night and sleep all day long or do something during the day, just do it. And if you want the opposite, just do it. Just don't feel any pressure. It was also, there was a certain parallelism, not parallelism, but how to say that? It was a participative management because we imagined that we were 5. So we had a very familiar communication, but at the same time, we had very clear processes. So sometimes we were sending signature requests to say, now this is how we are working. So there is a time for discussion and there is a time for execution. And you can't challenge something after we validate something. If there is a dead end, I am the person who make us go out from the dead end. But all that was something signed at the beginning, and then it was participative. And these rules, these decision rules, were literally sacred for us. So there were really nobody would try to put them into question because they all knew that was the key for their lifestyle, and they all loved their lifestyle so much that they respected these little things that we were agreeing as if it was coming from God, and except that, as we had a solid background in terms of process and decision and so on, we could just talk like friends because we know that even if we're talking like friends, this is the structure behind, and this is if this is a technical problem or a marketing problem, you are just an advisor or you are the person who decides, and you can't do anything outside the scope. And so that was the values. So it was just let's fix things at the beginning so that we can just be friends beyond that. So cool. Yes, I would say that.
By the way, you mentioned the decisions. You mentioned the decisions. You mentioned the decisioning process. What are your top 3 decision-making principles, Jean-Philippe?
3 decision-making principles?
Yeah, well, if you can state, if you thought about that, maybe. or you can think about it now. It's about time.
No, as I told you, it's that first when someone identified an issue in his field or the field of one of the other co-founders, first he has to create an analysis of it, a quantitative analysis of it. So you have to be able to prove what you are identifying, whatever it's in your field or the field of someone else. Then we challenge it together. Then the person at the origin of the idea can start by crafting a solution, which is challenged again. And then during this challenging period, we define what will be the solution to this problem. And once it's done, as a product owner, I was created the specs of this solution, and they were executed as it was in the specs. So and that's how it was working. So from the identification of a problem or a need for an iteration to the execution.
How you answered this question, it shows that you are a creator and builder, not the process manager. You are more about building, and that's cool. That's cool. And you answered the question. What are the top 3 crucial, essential things you think that help you earn the success in the last 5 years? What are the
definitely your funnel, your acquisition funnel. Even if you have a B2B product, you should just buy random traffic somewhere because, putting people on a product where you are with them or when it's your brother or your sister and so on, it's not valuable. Just put a big number of people that you don't know in an anonymous way through ads on your product and put funnel analytics everywhere and you will see that even if you're super smart and you've thought about all the features, there is a big probability so that on step 2 or step 3 of the use of your product, there is something that is blocking 99% of the people. So your funnel is just think funnel, and yeah,
just the
most important thing, and build your funnel from the ad to the value proposition and not the opposite. So for instance, if you are still thinking about your features, the color or the logo or the type, don't define your product before you do the ads. Do several ads showing different value propositions, present the same value proposition in different ways. And then the ad which has the more clicks, for instance, you will say, okay, the product should look more like that than the other ads. And then do landing page. I see that people don't engage, so I will change a few things. Okay, people engage. So now I really know which kind of features I know and so on. And then you build your product. And that's how you will build a product. You won't take any risk, because if people click the ad, if people engage on the landing page, the probability that your product doesn't work starts to be very low. Whereas if you start by, I met so many entrepreneurs who tell me, because now I do advising for media buying and traffic acquisition. I have so many people who say, no, we have first to finish our site or finish our app or finish the new iteration and so on. And I was like, no, dude, you don't understand. We will start with ads showing completely different things, because the probability that what you had in mind is the optimal value proposition is less than 10%. So build your funnel from the ad to the product and not from the product to the ad.
That's
and imagine
cool
that you can test value propositions today. Today you do little visuals or little text ads, and you just send 4 or 5, and tomorrow you will know what is shit and what is the right beginning of the path. And so you reduce the risk by 90% in 2 days. Whereas if you spend 6 months building a product, which is just an hypothesis among so many possibilities, you have 90% chances of losing 6 months of your life.
Probably yes.
So
How do you understand when it's time to make changes to the product, or you need to wait a bit to get more the result? But I think you just answered to that. You just answered.
Yeah. You just test and iterate, either because people require it. So you do, classical surveys. You find a way to involve the community and know which kind of features you should do, or either you have hypothesis and you test it. But your test you should always think MVP. So you should the first iteration. If the first iteration of a new feature looks like the final feature that you had in mind, there is definitely a problem in your product strategy, because the MVP version of a feature is often very far from what the features will finally look like when you will have verified that it's the one you need. Because if it looks like the final version, is that you put too much resources and energy in your MVP features. Just a minute, I have to charge my computer. There are no plugs here, so.
Okay.
Wait.
Ну, ребята, если интересно, если есть какой-то вопрос, задавайте. У меня есть еще 3, и мы будем закругляться сейчас. Поэтому вы там поднимайте руку, если что. Но я понимаю, что сейчас утро, не все могут говорить или работать начали, и на деликах своих сидите, пока мы с Жан-Филиппом общаемся. Но спасибо, что вы хоть какие-то вопросы задали перед стримом. Вот, I was just commenting. What do you regret the most in the project?
What I regret?
Did you think that you missed some opportunity within the project, except for the valuation you don't like?
Sure. You know what I've just told you right now? I just regret that I didn't apply it well enough, and I would like to do it more. Actually, it's because it's always a fight between your intuitions and, oh no, I'm pretty sure that this is what I have to do, and the analytical test. So the reality is that we didn't test 100% of the thing we wanted to do, maybe 80%. And today I would like to have the rigor to do it for 100% of the thing. So what I regret is not having done what I've just told you to do for 100% of the things. So because it would have saved me even more time. We would have earned more money faster. We would have sold for more money. So, yeah. So basically just that. Doing better what we did.
But regret is a good motivator to fix the things then, starting today. But
what?
Regretting that you could do it more is a good motivator to apply it then in the new project.
Yeah.
To
tell you.
There are two more questions. There was a question: how did you do pre-seed and first investors in this? But you already we already discussed that. There are two questions I don't think you want or can answer. I mean, you can. In which jurisdictions do you work with models? But I think it's better not to tell about it these days, I think. Or no? It's up to you.
No, sorry, it's not a problem. In which jurisdictions? Oh, that's a great question, because we were in a famous incubator in Paris, and they told us, oh, it's a new product, new experience. Campsites are all hosted on other countries, and there are not a lot in France, so we don't really know what the state would think about it. And at the beginning, the kind of guru, who is today someone who is on the first page of all the newspaper, because was a guru, the French startup nation guru with not so good intentions, but he advised us to go in a tax paradise, not to save taxes, just to have a state government that just doesn't care about the type of business you do. And first, we spent like 3 months and 12,000 euros for us at the beginning. 12,000 euros, it was everything we had in the wires to build a company in the British Virgin Islands. British Virgin Islands is a kind of islands where you have the kind of reality show, where people are starving, and so it's not a business place. And it was a huge mistake, because you should always be clear. We were all French and living in France, so we decided to make the business compliant with what we thought the law were. So that's why we always showed kind of white label by the consenting rules and so on, even if there was nudity and so on. So that's why we did it in France, and we always made it clear. We always made sure to pay all the taxes, and sometimes even a bit more if we were unsure. When we didn't know something, we were asking the tax administration, but do you know that we are doing video chat and so on, just to make sure that we wouldn't be surprised by anything. Mm-hmm. So we did it in France, trying to do our best. We were reporting to the police all the the pedophilia cases that we had, and that you had on any social network and on any chat place on the internet. So yes, we did it in France.
It's cool that you can do it in France, because what usually my thinking is you need to have some exotic jurisdiction in order to do some, outside of the scope business. But you managed to pull it off.
Yeah, the director of the incubator I was mentioning, he was sure of that. And then we were enough of everything, and we said, listen, we don't care if we stay in your incubator or not. We don't care if we raise funds with you or not. We will do it in France, and if you're not happy, just leave. And he said, okay, guys, let's do it in France and let's see what happens. And it happened super well. It was funny, because the people we had interaction with, like from the tax agency or things like that, they were laughing so much when they were discovering the nature of the business. So it was even funny, because we were always showing that we could have escaped in another country, and we didn't do it, and we were happy to pay taxes in France. And so it was a pretty good mood in our relationships with the interlocutors that we had from the state.
If you could, and that's the last thing of our interview, do you have some advice to people who are going to start business now? If there was a single advice, what would you suggest?
A single advice, and there is only one that is mattering, actually. All the rest is even not worth it. It's just what I said earlier. It's just thin your funnel from the ad to the product, and not the opposite. if you do that, there is 100% chances you're going to be rich in the next 10 days, next 10 years, and probably in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years. If you do the opposite, like most of entrepreneurs, you may need more than 100 years to reach your objective. So just save time and be smart.
If you need to ask something of our audience, for example, if you're looking for some, I don't know, engineers, partners, you can broadcast it now because it will be recorded forever in YouTube. And for example, if you want someone to reach you out, you can leave a contact, for example, if you would want.
And anyone with a good idea, or any engineer or designer thinking he had discovered a need or something, and would like to partner with someone who has a bit of experience in traffic acquisition, scaling up, and things like that. I didn't really develop the ideas I had recently, but I would always be happy to jump in a project that I would find fun or relevant or anything. So yeah, I'm literally open to business opportunities, whatever they are.
Cool. Man, thank you for this interview. I think we are at 1.5 hours. That's exactly the maximum that we should stop on. Have a good day, man. As always, let's keep in touch. We planned this interview in February. We knew that you had to... by the way, can we mention that you had to work for a few more months and now you are free? Because I'm telling them...
Yeah, they were very, very, very nice because they only asked me to work for 1 month, and after they came to Paris, we spent, because the business was really, we always made it simple. I was talking about the MVP features. Sometimes the MVP features, they were providing so much value compared with the need, that even if it was not perfect or most beautiful, just forget your ego. And sometimes the MVP feature is working. You keep your MVP feature, even if it looks a bit sketchy, And I don't remember why I was telling that. Yes, so it was pretty,
Yes, so you didn't have to really work for many years for the new company because the process was very simple.
Yeah. So even the people who bought us, they thought they would need us for 3 to 4 months. After 1 week, they were in Paris. And I was eating Uber Eats things and drinking coffees, and he was working, and he was like, I'm sorry, I don't have more questions for you. And I was like, dude, I had warned you that it was really easy to take over this business. And yes, it was less than 1 week was necessary for the new CEO to literally manage everything.
Cool. Thank you for sharing this. Because
I was employed like 1 month, but yes, less than 1 month.
Well, I asked this because I also write articles about earnout period and lockdown for like several years to work for the acquiring company in order to finally complete the deal. And that was not your case. You just had to work for 1 month. Your contract ended at the end of March, so April 1st, you were the free man. The free man.
Yeah.
Man, anyway, congrats again. Thank you. Have a nice day there. I see you have a very romantic atmosphere in the background. Yeah. And thanks everyone for watching the stream and then recording on YouTube. Bye.
Bye.
Cool.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.